Rather than mass media influencing society's moral and cultural values, individual perspectives continue to shape society's moral values as they have since humans became civilized. At the end of the day, individuals who have their own social goals and perspectives on life produce mass media. According to an article done by Jack Lowell in 2010, this cultural diversity amongst people is what shapes our moral values because individuals decide what media content to produce. Thus, these individuals are the ones shaping our moral values. To say that mass media influences our values is saying that nobody in our society is able to think critically about their own opinion versus what the media is telling us. If media shapes our values, that means that we are not unique. We don't think for ourselves, which is the opposite of what it means to be an American. Americans set the standards for the life of independence, self-discipline, and productivity, which allows us to be independent with our decision-making. According to OxfordReference.com, the limited effects theory argues that because people generally choose what to watch or read based on what they already believe, media exerts a negative influence. This theory originated and was tested in the 1940s and 50s. Studies that examined the ability of media to influence voting found that well-informed people relied more on personal experience, prior knowledge, and their own reasoning. However, media experts more likely swayed those who were less informed. Critics point to two problems with this perspective. First, they claim that the limited effects theory ignores the media's role in framing and limiting the discussion and debate of issues. How media frames a debate and what questions members of the media ask can change the outcome of the discussion and possible conclusions people may draw. Second, this theory came into existence when the availability and dominance of media was far less widespread. According to CliffNotes.com, the class dominant theory argues that media reflects and projects the view of a minority elite, which controls it. Those people who own and control corporations that produce media comprise this elite. Advocates of this view concern themselves particularly with massive corporate mergers of media organizations, which limit competition and put big business at the reins of media, especially news media. Their concern is that when ownership is restricted, a few people then have the ability to manipulate what people can see or hear. For example, owners can easily avoid or silence stories that expose unethical corporate behavior or hold corporations responsible for their actions. The issue of sponsorship adds to this problem. Advertising dollars fund most media. Networks aim programming at the largest possible audience because the broader the appeal, the greater potential purchasing audience and easier selling airtime to advertisers it becomes. Thus, news organizations may shy away from negative stories about corporations that finance large advertising companies in their newspaper or on their stations. Media watchers identify the same problem at the local level, where city newspapers will not give new cars poor reviews or run stories on selling a home without an agent, because the majority of their funding comes from auto and real estate advertising. Media language can be revealing too. Media uses the terms arch or ultra conservative, but rarely or never the terms arch or ultra liberal. According to WebMIT.edu, the culturalist theory, developed in the 1980s and 90s, combines the other two theories and claims that people interact with media to create their own meanings of the images and messages they receive. This theory sees audiences as playing an active rather than passive role in relation to mass media. One strand of research focuses on the audience and how they interact with media. The other strand of research focuses on those who produce the media, particularly the news. Theorists emphasize that audiences choose what to watch among a wide range of options, choose how much to watch, and may choose the mute button or the VCR remote over the programming selected by the network or cable station. Studies of mass media done by sociologists, parallel text reading, and interpretation research completed by linguistics or people who study language, both groups of research find that when people approach material, whether written text or media or images, the messages they interpret that material based on their own knowledge and experience. Thus, when researchers ask groups to explain the meaning of a particular song or video, the groups produce widely divergent interpretations based on age, gender, race, ethnicity, and religious background. Therefore, culturist theorists claim that while a few elite in charge in large corporations may exert significant control over what information media produces and distributes, personal perspective plays a more powerful role in how audience members interpret those messages. Personal perspective appears to be the driving force behind what we think, how we feel, what media we view, and our core values. The culturist theory states that people only interact with media to create their own meaning out of the images and messages they receive. They also interact with their peers, communities, and religions, which all shape their moral values. The class-dominant theory states that media reflects and projects the views of a minority elite which control it. And the limited effects theory states that people generally choose what to watch or read based on what they already believe. Media puts on an ineffective influence according to the research above. The three theories I have talked about today show that people largely influence human values, whether through the media, religion, or political donations.